The derby is done, Madrid won, Vinicius scored twice, and somehow the fan base is still arguing. That is Madridismo, tío. That is what we do.
To be fair, there's a lot to argue about. The Valverde red card situation is still boiling. The disciplinary committee made their call, and fans are not satisfied.
Let's start there because this is genuinely driving people mad. The committee gave Valverde one match. One, and fans are split between thank God it wasn't two, and wait, but doesn't this actually prove the red card was wrong in the first place?
There's a really interesting comment doing the rounds that captures this perfectly. One fan said, and I'm translating here, the disciplinary committee is protecting Munuera. At the same time, they're undermining him, because if you only sanction Valverde for one match instead of two, you're basically admitting the red card shouldn't have been what it was.
Que barbaridad. That is actually a sharp read. If the referee's report justified a two-match ban and they only gave one, someone is quietly walking something back without admitting it.
And then there's the Atlético response. Their social media team is still relitigating the derby days later. One fan quoted their posts with, "You are the best at this," meaning Madrid are the best at getting favorable treatment. The irony of Atlético crying foul after that match is not lost on the fan base.
Atlético's social media team should be banned from the internet, honestly. You lost the derby at the Bernabeu. Again, Simeone's curse continues. And your response is to post memes? Madre mia.
Meanwhile, there's another angle fans are picking up on, the Betis red card story. Someone pointed out that a red card shown to a Betis player was overturned because their next match was against Real Madrid. The implication being that the system bends to protect opponents facing Madrid, not Madrid itself.
The refereeing and La Liga corruption discourse never dies, does it? And look, I get it. There's a guy mentioned, Piturralde, and fans are saying he should be sitting in a witness box for the Negreira case, not commentating on television. That is a serious allegation, but it tells you everything about the trust levels right now.
One fan put it bluntly, mercenary journalism, pure and simple. The distrust of Spanish football media among Madrid fans is at an all-time high, and the derby result hasn't calmed that. If anything, it's sharpened it. They won, but they feel the system was still trying to take something from them.
Now let's talk about Mbappé because the international break has added a new layer here. He scored for France against Brazil. Tchouaméni literally said after that match that Vinicius is very complicated to defend, his own Real Madrid teammate, and fans are having fun with that.
The Mbappé discourse is interesting though. There are fans still saying, translated, Mbappé still hasn't justified what it cost to bring him to Real Madrid. But then there's the counter-argument. Without Mbappé, this league title would already be gone. When the team was bad, it was Mbappé winning games with goals.
And both things can be true, vamos. He hasn't been the transcendent Galactico signing some dreamed of. But he has been the difference in matches where Madrid had nothing else. That's a complicated legacy to be building at 27 years old.
There's also someone pointing out, and this made me laugh, that Valverde scored 3 goals against City, Mbappé scored against Brazil during the international break, and the morning show still opens with Arbeloa content. As if those are 3 grievances of equal weight. The priorities of Spanish football media, tío.
Okay, venga. Let's get into the numbers. Because that is what today is really about. The derby is won. The feelings are processed. Now Maria is going to tell me what the stats say about how Madrid actually did it.
Let's look at what the numbers tell us. And I want to start with Mbappe's season data because it directly answers the fan debate we just had. 23 goals in 24 La Liga games. His XG is 21.6, so he's actually outperforming his expected goals. He is finishing better than the chances suggest he should.
Wait, he's over his XG? Because the narrative has been that he's been wasteful, that he's been missing chances. The numbers are saying the opposite?
The numbers are saying he is clinical. 23 goals, 21.6 XG. That is a positive conversion rate. The perception that he's been wasteful is probably coming from the high-profile misses in big moments, but across the season as a whole, he is finishing his chances.
That XG gap is genuinely fascinating to me, because the eye test says inconsistent, frustrating, sometimes invisible, and the data says ruthless finisher. Those two things don't usually live together.
Now compare that to Vinicius. 11 goals, but his XG is 12.2, so he is actually underperforming his expected goals. He's creating better quality chances than he's converting, which means if his finishing sharpens even slightly, his numbers go even higher.
So Mbappe is over-converting, Vinicius is under-converting, and somehow both of them are carrying this attack. Madre mia, what does that say about the quality of chances Madrid are generating overall?
It says the chance creation is there, the system is working. And then look at Arda Güler, 8 assists in La Liga this season, with 8.1 expected assists. He is almost perfectly calibrating his creative output. 8 goals too. At 20 years old, those are extraordinary numbers.
Arda is quietly becoming one of the most important players in this squad, and I feel like the derby conversation buried that. While everyone was talking about Vinicius's revenge arc, Güler has been building the most statistically consistent creative season of anyone in that midfield.
Valverde's numbers tell a slightly different story. 4 goals, 7 assists, but his XG is only 1.9. He is massively outperforming his expected goals, which means he is finding ways to score that the model doesn't fully account for. Long-range efforts, deflections, arriving late. That's a specific skill set.
He scored 3 against City in the Champions League earlier this season. The man is not supposed to be this clinical, and yet here we are. And Uruguay's players are already talking about him before their Wembley friendly. Apparently his teammates are saying what he does is not normal. He's from another planet.
And then there's Bellingham. And this is where the data gets complicated. 4 goals, 6.2 xG. He is significantly underperforming his expected goals. He is getting into the right positions, generating high-quality chances, and not converting. That is the Bellingham story of this season in one number.
6.2 xG and only 4 goals. That is a painful number, Tio. That is the difference between a good season and a great season for him. If he converts at even an average rate, he probably has 8 or 9 goals by now.
But here's the thing. Bellingham has only played 19 games. He's had fitness disruptions this season. If you adjust for minutes, his per 90 xG is actually higher than Valverde's. The potential is there. The consistency hasn't been.
So the picture the data paints of this Madrid squad is Mbappé clinical, Vinicius creative but slightly wasteful, Güler quietly elite, Valverde overachieving everything, Bellingham talented but interrupted. That is a fascinating set of profiles to be working with in the second half of the season.
And Courtois, 28 games, clean sheet record that speaks for itself. When people debate whether Madrid can win the title, the answer is sitting in those numbers. The attack generates, the goalkeeper saves, and somewhere in the middle, Valverde does things that are statistically impossible.
Hala Madrid. Look, the derby is in the books. The numbers back up what the eyes saw. And this squad is genuinely something to believe in right now. Even if the referees, the committee, and the Spanish football media are doing their absolute best to make it complicated.
We'll be back tomorrow morning with more. The international break continues, so we'll have more data to chew through, and no doubt more fan discourse to dig into. The conversation never stops on this show.
It never does. That's Ruido Blanco. We'll see you tomorrow. Hala Madrid y nada más.